Foreign qualification is the registration step that comes up when an LLC formed in one state starts doing business in a different state. And the threshold for triggering it is narrower than most coaches assume, but wider than they'd like. The word foreign is misleading. Your Texas LLC is foreign to California in the registration sense, even though both states are inside the United States. This video covers what activities trigger Nexus in another state, what activities don't, how to register if you need to, and what happens if you skip a registration the state thinks you need it. What foreign qualification means starts with the word foreign and its surprising scope. Conduct business in a state that isn't your state of formation, and that second state may require you to register as a foreign entity. The word foreign is misleading here. Your Texas LLC is foreign to California in the registration sense, even though both states sit inside the United States. The label is jurisdictional, not international. The mechanism: each state has the right to know which out-of-state entities are doing business inside its borders, so it can apply its own rules and collect its own fees. Three categories of activity reliably trigger Nexus in a second state, and they're worth memorizing. Physical presence: an office, a leased address, an employee, or a contractor physically located in that state. In-person sessions: regular travel into the state to meet clients in person counts as physical business activity. Employees or contractors based in that state, even if they work remotely for you, their physical location creates your Nexus. Any one of those three is usually enough to require foreign qualification. The combination matters less than the presence of any single factor. Three categories of activity routinely do not trigger Nexus, and the second one is the one that surprises most remote coaches. Remote-only coaching: you are physically located in your home state, all sessions happen over phone or video, you never travel to the client. Your clients living in another state does not by itself make you doing business in that state. You are doing business from your state to clients located anywhere. Routine business travel that doesn't recur in a pattern is also typically below the threshold. The structural shape of remote coaching practice keeps the large majority of coaches in single-state operating territory. The regular question is where the lines get fuzzy and where attorney conversation belongs. A one-time visit to a state for a conference, an occasional speaking engagement, an annual board meeting. Those are isolated activities that rarely trigger Nexus in any state. Regular business activity, meaning recurring presence over time, usually does trigger Nexus, and that's where the threshold sits. The word regular is not defined uniformly across the 50 states. Some states use frequency tests, some use a dollar revenue threshold, some use a combination. If you find yourself traveling to a specific state 6 or 8 times a year for client meetings, that's the conversation to bring to your business attorney for that state's definition. Registering as a foreign entity in a second state follows a recognizable pattern across most states. File a foreign entity registration with that state's Secretary of State, sometimes called a certificate of authority, sometimes an application for authority to transact business. The fee varies, typically $100 to a few $100s. You'll also need a registered agent in the new state, which most national registered agent services will add to your existing account for an additional annual fee. Once registered, you owe that state whatever annual reports and franchise taxes apply to foreign qualified entities, which can be significant in states like California. Skipping a foreign qualification that the state expected has consequences that compound. You cannot enforce contracts in that state's courts as an unregistered foreign entity, which means a client dispute in that state leaves you without the standard legal remedies. Back registration fees often apply. The state assesses what you would have owed during the unregistered period plus interest. Some states add civil penalties on top. The penalty math varies, but the operating reality is that fixing the registration after the state notices is more expensive than registering in time. Most solo coaches working remotely don't have a Nexus problem in other states. The ones who travel for in-person engagements should get an attorney's assessment of their specific pattern. A directed example walks the foreign qualification question through a real-looking fact pattern. A coach based in Illinois with an Illinois LLC has clients in California, New York, and Texas. All client work happens over remote video. No Nexus in any of those three states because remote only doesn't trigger. She then accepts a corporate contract that requires on-site work in New York City monthly for the duration of a 6-month engagement. The recurring physical presence is the trigger. Her attorney advises filing New York foreign qualification for the duration of the contract. After the engagement ends, depending on whether she takes further New York work, she'll either maintain the registration or wind it down. Your self-check before advancing to Unit 4.9 covers the last 12 months of activity. 3 questions. In which states did you conduct in-person coaching sessions, including travel for client work? Do you have employees or contractors physically located in states other than your formation state? Do you have a physical office or address outside your formation state? 3 answers of no means you're likely operating cleanly in a single state model, and no foreign qualification is in front of you. Anyone yes is the trigger to bring the specific facts to your business attorney before the state notices, and the situation becomes a back registration plus penalty conversation instead of a routine filing.